Hi, I'm Zoe, and for my poetry essay today, I picked a poem called I Like My Body When It Is With Your. So I'm just going to recite the poem, and then I will go right into my essay. So, here's the poem. I like my body when it is with your body. It is so quite new a thing. Muscles better and nerves more. I like your body. I like what it does. I like its hows. I like to feel the spine of your body and its bones and the trembling, firm smoothness in which I will, again and again and again, kiss. I like kissing this and that of you. I like slowly stroking the shocking fuzz of your electric fur, and what is it comes over parting flesh and big eye and eyes big love crumbs. And possibly I like the thrill of under me you so quite new. So that's the poem itself, and then I'm going to go right into reading my essay. So, poetry has existed since the beginning of human language. Poetry can come in many different forms and can express many different stories and emotions. Some of the most common forms of poetry are odes, ballads, and sonnets. The poems that include multiple poetry forms and sound devices are often considered better. The poem I Like My Body When It's With Your by E. Cummings is the best poem because it includes multiple poetry forms, sound and literary devices, as well as being unique and interesting. The use of different poetry forms makes the poem creative and fascinating. The writer uses a sonnet and an ode to write their poem. The use of a sonnet keeps you interested since it is only 14 lines and has no rhyming scheme. Having no rhyming makes the poem unique and allows the writer to write more freely since there is no pressure to rhyme. The use of having around the same amount of syllables per line in a sonnet makes the poem intriguing, as it creates similar sound to each line, which allows the poem to sound visually appealing. The ode within the poem makes the piece different. The poem revolves around how remarkable this body is and how the writer feels good about themselves because of this body. Having the poem be an ode makes it less formal and brings joy to the reader and writer. The praise of this body and the feelings associated with it are unique to the writer and unlike the feelings of anything else. The use of a sonnet and an ode make the poem special and intriguing to the reader. Cummings also applies different sound devices within his poem to attract readers. He uses a combination of repetition and alliteration throughout his writing to create interest. Alliteration is seen when he wrote in line 11, of your electric fur and what is it comes, and then in the following line says, over parting flesh and eyes big love crumbs. By using the same letter to begin each line, it sounds pleasing and helps you remember the lines themselves. Alliteration is a great way of making it sound like you're rhyming without actually rhyming. Repetition is seen many times throughout Cummings' poem, as the theme is the love for this body. The phrase I like is repeated many times to show the readers how important this liking for the body is. By using repetition, the author is forcing the readers to remember the poem, and they may not even know that this is happening when they're reading it. Repetition also creates a feeling of rhythm and urgency. The application of alliteration and repetition creates an interest and uniqueness to the poem. Finally, the use of literary devices are shown within the poem I Like My Body When It Is Your, which help increase its visual appeal. Cummings uses the literary devices of similes and imagery throughout their poem. An example of a simile within the poem is when they wrote in line 12, and eyes big love crumbs. Comparing the person's eyes to big love crumbs allows the reader to imagine the affection for this body's eyes and how they resemble love. The writer creates unique similes which draw interest. Similes allow the reader to make the poem more vivid, allows the reader to make more vivid connections easier. Imagery is a critical feature of the poem, as the poem is mostly about describing this astounding body. The writer uses very detailed descriptive phrases, such as in line 5 and 6, I like its hows, I like to feel the spine of your body and its bones and the trembling. By describing the spine and the features, you automatically get to imagine what the writer is feeling in that exact moment. The literary devices in this poem create a beautiful image for the reader and allow the writer to be expressive and creative. In conclusion, the literary and sound devices and different poetry forms in the poem make I Like Your Body When It Is With Your by E. Cummings the best poem. The poem in a form of a sonnet and an ode make the poem unique. The chosen sound devices of alliteration and repetition allow the poem to sound different and memorable. The literary devices, similes, and imagery complete the poem by allowing the reader to achieve detailed mental images which help further understanding of the poem. Without the use of these features, the poem would not be considered great. Thanks for listening.